Hello, Facebook Live. We are here for another Tuesday lunch and learn. How is everyone doing today? So let's see. I'm going to open up the little comments box so I can see everybody in the live chat. But those of you who are out there watching, I see some of you in our private Facebook community. Go ahead and give us a shout out. Say hello. Let us know that you're here. We are, you guys, I don't know how it became February, but we are at the end of February. Thank goodness. We have finally made it, getting closer to the spring and the sunshine and all that's coming. So how's everyone else doing? How are you guys doing?
I'm good. I'm excited about that too because I do love more daylight. It makes me feel a little bit better.
Well, and you just had a wonderful vacation, right?
Yes, being up in the snow and up in the mountains. I love that serenity that it is. But it's like that for me kind of anywhere. Like I could do that in a beach, in a jungle, just nature. I like to be in nature. And Vermont has a lot of nature.
Yeah, we did a lot of talking about nature last week. Kylie was outside for our video, and it
I
was
know. I watched
so
the
nice. Oh my
replay.
gosh, it was so nice.
It
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Yeah. How
Lots
are
of
you doing?
grounding happening, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How are you
Hugging
doing?
trees.
I am doing good. It's nice out today too, but it's kind of gloomy, and we're celebrating a birthday today here at home.
Oh,
So,
happy
yeah.
birthday.
Yeah, well, it's for August. My little guy, he's
Aw.
7 today. So, but they're at school. He got his hair cut, so I anticipated his face when he, was getting out of the car, and it was so much better than I expected. He was just like, it was so just childlike, and it literally just melted my heart. So I'm doing good this morning. Yeah.
Awesome. So he's like, it's like so just background, right? So do you want to tell everybody the background? What, like, how is his hair? How is it now?
Oh yeah. So my son has always grown out his hair. When we moved a couple of years ago, he decided he wanted to cut it into a mullet, and it was already really long, and he's been growing it out. So it was literally just about 2 inches from, like from his waistline. It was so long, and it was so blonde and beautiful, but he had a hard time keeping up with it, and people unfortunately keep calling him a girl, so it makes him sad. And so a couple of weeks ago, he told his tumbling coach that he was getting his hair cut for his birthday, and it was the first thing I heard about it. And I said, okay, I guess so. And he, went and got it cut, and it is short. They like, kind of buzzed the back a little bit, but scissor cut it, and it reminds me of a young Justin Bieber. So it's so cute, and he loves it. So he got to go show all of his friends at enrichment this morning and his teachers, and he was just, his little cheeks are so red, and he was so excited to go show everybody. It was the cutest thing ever.
I love that. It's like it's a whole shift in his identity.
Yes, he
A whole
looks like
shift
a
in his
different person.
identity.
He even sounds like a different person, and of course, he got to bring treats to school today for his birthday, and of course we brought really healthy ones. So he was so excited because there's a couple of other kiddos in his class that are gluten-free and stuff, so he was so excited he got to share with everybody.
That's awesome. Really,
Yeah,
really awesome. And it reminds me, Kylie, just thinking a little bit about the like the identity crisis that people go through when they go through their health journey. By the way, for those of you who are watching, giving us a shout out in the chat box, say hello, join in on the conversation here. We want to see all your comments. So go ahead and drop them in. Tell us who you are, where you're watching from, and have you had any identity shifts, along your wellness journey? Because we see that all the time. There are identity shifts in so many different ways that people experience. it's we get comfortable in how things are and who we are and how things have been and in our routines and in our habits, that when we then go to embark on our wellness journey, it's like there's these moments of unevenness, right? Is what
Yeah.
it's the best way I can think to give it an analogy. The moments of unevenness where you're like, oh my gosh, who am I? What am I doing? This is so different than who I know myself to be. And sometimes that ends up being a really, really great thing for people. And then other times it can also be a little bit intimidating or create a little bit of fear. Have you seen that before?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
experienced that before?
Mhm.
How about you guys who are watching? Type in the comment section if you've experienced that on your health journey or in some other area of your life.
Oh, yeah. I feel like the hardest part about change is not making the same choice. It's about stepping out into the unfamiliar, because that's, like you said, the transformation. I've seen some clients that they don't even look the same.
Right.
They
Yeah, of
really
course.
everything's different. Their mannerisms are different. The way they speak about themselves or others, life is just a complete 180.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just so amazing to see, to kind of like dive into that, because that's
Mhm.
where the growth is, right? In the
Yeah.
uncomfortability.
Yeah, it's in the discomfort.
Yeah.
One of our lines that we use a lot is get comfortable in the discomfort. But you guys, it's in any area of our life. It's not just our health journey. In any area of your life, it's going to be a little uncomfortable as we learn and grow. And it's not, the problem isn't with the discomfort, right? The problem is with our own judgments and assessments of that discomfort, right? Because a baby, if you think about a baby, when a baby learns to walk, like that baby has no judgment about itself when it falls down and has to try again. It's just par for the course. It's the norm of what it takes to change and grow and develop. It's like we have to have those stumbles, those moments of discomfort in order to start to look at things, grow and be and transform, really. You know, I
Yep.
always say you always know when things like really start to break down in life. The great thing is that as long as you're open to it and you are searching for it and you are looking for it, every one of those breakthroughs is always what comes next. I said breakthroughs, right? Every one of those breakdowns, what comes next is the breakthrough, right?
Oh,
Each and
yeah.
every time. And we see that happening so often. And it's such a beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing. I mean, it'd be better if we didn't have to be uncomfortable, but sometimes we've got to be uncomfortable to understand how to get comfortable.
Yeah.
Does that make any
Well, that
sense?
it makes complete sense, because how would we know where to go and what to do if we didn't experience like the joy or the uncomfortability? So
Yeah.
they're just markers.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
leading and directing us.
Absolutely. I know, Carissa, you were saying that one of the themes that keeps coming up in a lot of your coaching sessions with our clients is this theme around fear. And I think fear is certainly a space of discomfort. But, like, what are you seeing happening with people in the space of fear?
I feel like there's a lot of judgment around it, of
Like
the
self
fear.
judgment?
Yeah. When I feel like, again, fear is just another marker, right?
Hmm.
It's just another emotion, just like any of the emotions that we have. Anger is another marker, but I feel like as we grow up and in society and, sometimes in homes and whatnot and anywhere, school, that we're always told that these are negative, bad things. So when we
Oh,
feel
yeah.
that, we tend to really judge ourselves, which then kind of like solidifies it. And then we're
Hmm.
like, oh God, like I'm just a mess. This is just
Yeah.
terrible. When
Yeah.
really they're just markers to kind of let you know where to go, where not to go, to keep you safe. And really triggers like to show you what you care about, right?
Hmm.
Like if you weren't feeling sad about where you are, if you weren't feeling fearful about something, why would you change it?
Exactly. We need a little impetus to change, a little motivation.
Yeah.
Well,
no
you
one
know,
changes in the good stuff. I don't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, if I can live in utopia, great, but it's going to be no movement or change there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, and the other thing too that struck me with what you were saying is sometimes we have the response like, and you're talking about like not fear necessarily with people's um health journeys, but fear with like other things that are going on in their life. I mean, there's so much going on in this crazy world right now, for
Yeah.
real. But, you know, we're taught to not embrace that feeling. We're taught to kind of shove it down, bury it, or avoid it.
Correct.
And that's one of the places where we really get stuck is because when we don't actually experience an emotion, it gets buried, it gets stored in our body. And now it actually becomes even more deep seated because we've just ignored it versus actually paying attention to it and being in the space where it's like, okay, I now have to do something about this, you
Yeah.
know?
You're exactly right. And then, when we deep seated and it gets stored in our body, it gets stored in our organs, and then we keep creating the same cycle. And then it's
Mhm.
like, then we think we're destined for it, right? We're like, see, we just keep solidifying it when
Yes.
really it's just the familiar part of it. Like, so our bodies, our mind, everything just wants to be in that homeostasis. Everything just wants to be in that comfort zone. So whatever we're constantly doing, that's our homeostasis, right?
Mhm.
Our, in a sense, like, so reaching out of that and getting uncomfortable to reach that comfortable point. So
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing how it really all like connects your mind, your thoughts, and then your body is also responding to your thoughts, and it's just like it just
Mhm.
keeps going like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, those of you who are watching, give us a shout out in the chat box there in the comments section. Let us know that you're here. Have you ever been in that space where where you've grown from being uncomfortable with something that's allowed you a transformation in your life? Share about that in the comment section there. Because it is one of the ways that we transform. People are often surprised, in the regular conventional medical model, nobody's talking about how, our organs, glands, and systems and stuff, how are they related to emotions? No one's even thinking about those. I had one of our clients who came down with a kidney stone. And I said, well, those kidneys, they're also associated with like loneliness and abandonment. Is there anything going on in your life? And she was like, yes, there is. And so we always have to start to ask ourselves, the lungs and the chest that's like related to grief. So we always have to ask ourselves, is there, even with our physical stuff, what's that emotional component? Because uh, um, when we're not looking at it, when we're not approaching it, when we're not trying to work with it, then we end up with those things actually getting stored, or we end up with a physical manifestation of those emotions as well.
Which is it, it's so fascinating to me that we don't correlate it, or it's not so mainstream, because if you logically think about it, like when you get angry, your chest tightens, you know what I mean? Your
Yeah,
temperature
exactly.
rises, you can get a headache. When you get happy, or butterflies in your stomach, like your body is giving you all these indicators from the thoughts that are creating the chemicals in your body.
Absolutely.
So they go hand
Absolutely.
in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, I mean, that's the whole thing is it's multifunctional. There is no pure black and white with anything, right? There's no pure black and white. Everything kind of it's all interrelated and interconnected. And so, yes, like those different emotions create a cascade of different effects that take place in the body. But then where are those biggest impacts and on what area, right? So, like you said, like for example, the liver is associated when we see people with a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, right? We often think of like the liver gallbladder in Chinese medicine, it's like angry man syndrome. Okay, that's coming from the liver. That the area of fear and loneliness, like I said before, coming from those kidneys. Anxiety. Think about what happens when you get anxious, right? Your heart, it starts going like this. So that anxiety related to the heart. Overthinking, worry related in Chinese medicine to the spleen. So all the different organs, glands, and systems are related to different emotions, right? Like the grief, like I said before, related to the lungs. But it's not something that we often think about. It's not something that we often consider, like, what is this? And how is it having an impact on my body physically?
Yeah.
Well,
It's
because here's the
crazy.
kicker of it too, is that once you have that realization, for me anyway, then there comes the ownership.
Mhm.
It's no longer, give me a pill, or you know what I mean? There is no masking that. Now you have
Right.
to take ownership and
Yeah.
go through your stuff, which is
Yeah.
quite
Well,
liberating and an amazing journey.
it is really liberating. I think, but we're almost taught in our world though to not
Mm.
allow for that, right? Like
Oh
no
yeah.
one's saying, "Hey, actually let's deal with this to create that freedom and that liberation." Instead, it's like, "Oh, bury it, bury it, bury it." And so much of what we've been taught in our society and our culture is, oh, okay, you have some anxiety, let's take some pills,
Mhm.
right? Oh, you have high blood pressure, let's take some pills. Oh,
Yeah.
you're having stomach issues, let's take some pills. Not actually diving into, well, why is that happening? And that's what's really important about what we do is this is really about empowering you to understand what the underlying root causes are,
Mhm.
right? Because there are physiological root causes, there are emotional root causes, right? There are habits. So all of those different things come together and create what it is that we experience. And it's funny when people are like, "Well, can I just take something for this?" and and they do it too, and around they're like, "Well, isn't there just a supplement that I can take for this?" And it's like, we could band-aid things, of course, but let's deal with the underlying root cause of why it's there. So if you're having anxiety, well, is there something that's happening in the environment, or what's happening in life? Is there something that's happening within your physiology? Or for example, are you having issues with your gut? Is there something happening at
Mhm.
the cardiovascular system? Like what's happening and where is it happening? Because that's how we actually create the real resolution,
Oh
you
yeah.
know? So coming all the way back, Carissa, because we only have, another 5 minutes or so here. So just coming back to that conversation around the fear and sort of, and I think that it's almost like it's global, like everybody is in this,
Oh yeah.
unfortunately, this space of fear right now because of all the things that are going on in the world, all the craziness that's taking place. And so it's almost like culturally installed or ingrained fear that's happening. So how do we really support people and stepping outside of the fear? Moving from that place of fear to a real place of empowerment. That's what I would like to discuss and use our next few minutes here to really dive into. Because ultimately, if we live in that space of fear, there are negative consequences to that,
Mhm.
right? But if we're able to kind of say, "Oh, look, that's fear," and then start to look at that fear, then we get to actually work with it, dive
Mhm.
into it, and create the changes like we've been talking about.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? How can people move out of that place of fear and into that space of empowerment?
I mean, I think you have to start with, first recognizing it,
Yeah.
accepting it, and validating it. We
Hmm.
really have to validate our fears so that way we can integrate it,
Yeah.
and part of the great thing with breakthrough coaching that we do also
Hmm.
is being able to tap into that subconscious mind, because that's
Yes.
running 85% of the show, right?
Yeah, more
Most of
than
the
that.
time we don't even know why we're doing the things we do.
Yeah, exactly.
So when we tap into that, and it's not in a traumatic way,
Yes.
at all. So when you tap into that, you're able to integrate. Like I explain it like, your mind's doing this. It has the same route. So then when you're tapping and you're healing in your subconscious mind, now your route is going a little other way. And there's other avenues to take.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think starting there is powerful.
Yeah, it's really rewiring, right?
Yeah.
It's rewiring because we have these always automatic responses. So we respond to things in the same way always, all the time. And until we start to examine, like, oh, okay, this is what I'm doing. And even just kind of, I say bringing it to the forefront to our awareness. It's when we bring it to our awareness that we actually can do some change work and do that. And yeah, I mean, the breakthrough coaching work that we do at South Bay Wellness is just phenomenal in terms of really putting a spotlight on those things and helping to really break through them so that they no longer have that hold on us anymore.
Yeah.
So that's really powerful. Absolutely. I can think about, a time in my life where I've had a lot of fear. I mean, even if I think about the journey of my life in the last few years, you guys, I'm broadcasting from the RV. I'm back in the RV after being out of it for so long. But so here I am again. But if you think about the way my life's journey took me these last couple of years, I could have lived in a place of fear, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to sell my home, move to some place I've never been before with no place to go. Or I can just embrace that and be like, okay, like the universe will provide, God will provide, I'll find the perfect place to land. We'll have that opportunity and really be able to create and grow in a way. So it's like, to the rational mind, it would have been a safer choice to just stay put and keep things the way they were, even if they weren't what was best, right? And on the flip side is when you embrace those opportunities to really embrace the fear and look at, okay, well, where is that coming from? And how do I work through that? You create a whole other level of just opportunity. You guys think of an area or a time in your life where you had to really just look at that fear and break through that fear?
I feel like I could match mine exactly to yours.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. Just leaving where we were and coming here, just like you guys. It's so wild. Just putting so much, faith and like letting go of that resistance of like wanting to just, play it safe.
Yeah.
It's strange. It's uncomfortable. It's weird. It's just nothing I ever expected. I don't know. I didn't even know how to like make friends, because I was so comfortable in, the space that we were at, that we come here and I'm like, oh my gosh, we don't know anybody. And I remember the first time we ever even saw like somebody we knew in public, and it was like an achievement for us. And so it is really, yeah, I feel like my story and your story, the past couple of years are similar. So I'll take all your words.
What's beautiful is that when we step outside of our comfort zone, we get to realize like, wow, we're even, we're bigger than who we thought ourselves to be.
Yeah.
And that's what's really powerful about like embracing fear, obviously in a safe, smart way, not doing silly stuff,
Right.
But when we do that, you're like, oh, wow, I'm capable of so much more than I ever thought I was capable of.
Yeah.
How about you, Carissa?
Oh, I mean, I could think of hundreds of times that I've had to combat fear, but just recently, like just with my daughter on the mountain and breaking her wrist, like, oh, it was so intense. Like the fear of like, is she okay? The fear of like just getting to her and then the fear of, because you're not in control anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're leaving it all up to everything else around you. And really what got me through was just accepting it and being okay, because I feel like that made me calmer, which also helped her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like Kylie, you said, resistance. I think that's huge. When I don't resist things, they tend to flow a lot easier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's my resistance that creates so much pushback that it becomes extremely overwhelming.
Yeah. Resistance creates persistence. Resistance creates persistence. That's one for everyone to kind of lock in their mind there. When you're wondering, well, why won't this change? Why won't this change? The next question to ask is, ooh, what am I resisting? What am I really resisting here? So that's beautiful. All right, ladies, it was so fun doing Lunch and Learn and chatting with you all today.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for all of you who joined us. We'll see you all next week, same time. Next week. Same time. When's the retreat? But we're good. We're clear. We're clear.
Yeah.
We're clear because it's the end of the week. And those of you who want to join us in the retreat, I think there are 2 seats. So go ahead and join us. Fill in those 2 seats. So we'll talk to everyone. See you next week.